Hey guys, so today I'm with Meera Seshadri, and we've been working together for, I guess, like 5 or 6
Yeah.
years. We started working together at Live Safe, and the reason we're here together today is because a lot of you guys have asked, okay, what are you guys actually doing with No Limit Generation? We've heard you're, you're working with children, you're working on their mental health, you're working on child protection, but what exactly are you doing? And so what we're doing with our No Limit Generation platform is curating the best practices and knowledge from some of the best minds and experts in the field of child well-being, and we're putting them together, we're curating them and putting them online in a way that anyone working with refugee children or displaced children around the world can access these tools on an evolving library so that they know how best to address certain issues, some of them very sensitive like sexual abuse, sexual assault that we're discussing today, and know exactly how to work with these children so that the children can feel loved, supported, and ultimately heal and rise and thrive into the kind of futures that we want them to have. So currently around the refugee camps, once these children get into refugee camps, it's an intergenerational thing. It's very rare that they get out within a few years. It's more likely the case that, protracted refugee situations, the children are there for anywhere from 10 to 21 years. And so the reality is they're growing up in here. And so while they may be in these open air prisons of what a refugee camp is, the only way in which they're gonna get out is if we can help free their minds. And the way we can do that is, of course, help them in the traumas that they might have experienced. And the best way that we know how to do that is to support the caregivers so that they can create loving, healing environments for these children. And so today I've had the great opportunity to sit with Meera and chat about a very important issue that these children have either experienced themselves or may experience, which is the issue of sexual assault and abuse. As many of you know, in the Rohingya refugee case, there have been well-documented series of rapes which have been used as a tool of war to subjugate, punish, humiliate, and really negate the identity of women and men amongst the Rohingya population. And so we need to help these children overcome that. I think I read the startling statistic that almost or more than half of those who were subjected to this kind of violence were minors. And so it's very important that the caregivers who are working with children understand how best to address these issues. So I'll turn it over to you a little bit. Like, from your perspective, why is it important that caregivers who may or may not have experience working with children, why is it important for them to become more knowledgeable on the impacts of sexual assault or abuse on children?
I think it's incredibly important because, especially at the time in these children's lives when they are experiencing this, it's a hugely impressionable age and time in their development, both physiologically and psychologically. And so if they are receiving these messages from the tragic experiences that they've had, that they are not valued, that they're not supported, that their bodies and their minds and their souls are not safe, those feelings are going to stay with them for the rest of their life. So the caregiver has a really powerful opportunity to not only create an environment where they feel supported in their experiences, no matter whether they decide to disclose this or not, but also create an environment and a sense of thriving for them as adults who don't have to be thought of as a survivor of sexual violence, that they don't have to think of themselves as defined by the violence that they've experienced or witnessed, that they can think of themselves as children who have the right to be happy and sad and learn and create and develop around an adult who's going to respect their boundaries, who's going to think of them and their strengths and dreams first, instead of defining them as you're a refugee. So that's really a powerful experience.
And this is so important, especially in cultures that may be silent around the issues of sexual abuse, sexual assault or sexual abuse. We need to be able to have healthy conversations, and it's so important that the caregiver, one of the most important things that I think I heard you say in the interview that we just did was the caregiver has the opportunity to be a role model of consent. And can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about these like high-level concepts when you're thinking about children as young as 3 or 4 years old. But often they have never been given the choice or the opportunity to say, this makes me feel safe, this doesn't make me feel safe, or this adult makes me feel happy and loved, but this adult shows me attention in a way that I don't like. And often we don't have those conversations in the home. Many of us come from cultures in which we don't have those conversations. So the caregiver has an opportunity to role model for these young children. What does it look like to really love someone and care about them in a way that's respectful? So they can model this by, setting boundaries, by making sure that they don't become overly affectionate or friendly. And they show people how to interact in ways that value them and show them that they are fully human. And I think one of the things we don't realize sitting here very far away from these scary experiences is that the idea of being displaced and experiencing violence and not having a home makes you feel less human. And experiencing violence and harassment and abuse, especially when you can't talk about it, makes you feel even more isolated. And the caregiver has the opportunity to allow these children at their own pace to process what has happened to them in a space where they're seeing what it feels like to have an adult care about them in a way that's not violating. And that's something you can do verbally, non-verbally, and just with your character. And I think that's going to be a really amazing opportunity for them.
And what are some of those ways that we can teach consent to like a 5-year-old? How do you even begin to demonstrate that or show them with that through activities or exercises?
I think one of the fun ways is how you greet children. So often, I know I come from a cultural background where sometimes you're not really given the choice whether you want to give a hug or give someone a kiss on the cheek, and whether that person will do that for you. So the caregiver can say, okay, today we're going to decide how we want to greet each other. Do you want to give a hug or a high five, or do you want to do a dance or just say hello? And those are ways that children will pick up on cues like, oh, I don't have to do that if I don't want to. And it doesn't make me an impolite child not to give someone a hug or a kiss on the cheek. I don't even know you. Like, why should I greet you that way? So that's one way to do it. Another way is to help them name their feelings. Say like, how does this feel when you're around this person? Or does it feel okay? So that it really gives them the choice and power to trust their instincts. Like if someone makes them feel strange, they should be able to follow that instinct through and not say, oh, it's probably nothing, or they're an elder, so I should respect them anyway. So these are ways that caregivers can make sure that children start to name their feelings and respect their own feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And even that advice, I think I've been hearing Meera say that for a few years, that even I've been starting incorporating that with my niece. I mean, she's not exactly the kind of population that we're working with, but really this is something that works with all children. Children have many universal shared experiences, and there's ways that we can relate with them in loving ways that transcend whatever experiences they've had. I mean, ultimately we want these children to be raised in healthy, loving, supported environments, because we know that that's when they can heal, and also that's when they can live confident, flourishing lives. So we've got a lot more of these great tidbits from Meera, who has been in this field for, over a decade at this point.
I think so, yeah.
And has been, I think, working with kids and adolescents and even college students at Emory, Georgetown University, Harvard. So she knows what she's talking about, and we're very lucky to have voices like her represented on the No Limit Generation platform, where you can dig into a lot more of her ideas that are designed to help these caregivers working with at-risk and vulnerable children. and help us make these videos become a lot more available, help us make Meera's videos become available on our platform with your support, so that others, including yourselves, can benefit from the full spectrum of child well-being issues that we're addressing here. So thank you so much, and thank you again, Meera.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this project. I think it's so necessary and so important, and starting at younger and younger ages is so helpful for them to be able to discern for themselves, you know, what kind of life they want to lead. And I'm so excited and proud of you for doing this.
Thank you for being a part of the journey.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all.